Jackie Groenen, so good to see you. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm very busy at the moment, but doing really well.
Well, we're delighted to have you join us on the matchup. We've got loads to go through with you, lots of questions. The first thing that we're going to do, though, is a little segment called First Minute, where I have a couple of questions just to get you started about the first times on and off the pitch. So the first one is a first football match that you remember watching.
We went to Willem II NAC, which doesn't seem very big, but in the south, it's like a derby game. So yeah, I remember that really well with my sister and my dad and my granddad. I think I was about like 4 or 5, so quite at a young age. I think that was one of the first time I went to a stadium.
Who got you interested in going to that football match? Did you have to be persuaded, or were you really eager to go and watch?
No, I really wanted to go. My dad was a football player, and I wanted to play football so bad. I wanted to go to stadiums, I wanted to go to training. I remember watching my dad play, trying to get on the pitch all the time.
When was sort of the where your dad said, "Okay, this is what she's going to do for a job. This is what she really has passion for."
When we started, he said like, "It's okay. Like I'm okay with you starting to play football, but if you do it, I want you to do it well." And I think the first time he kind of realized I could make a job out of it was when I was about like 10 or 11, I think.
What was it like for you, Jackie, when you were a kid playing football? Did you have a lot of friends that wanted to play football with you? Were you able to do that in your spare time?
It was basically just me and my sister, always playing on the street, outside, and we lived in a quite a isolated area. But I do really remember when I started playing and I was in a team for a bit longer. My dad changed the garage. There was like judo mats on the floor, so you could fall down on it. There was like mattresses against the wall, so you could like smash each other into it. There was even like a tiny stand. We used to have like the game on Saturday morning when you were kids, you know, like a Saturday morning game, and then all the boys would come over to ours, and we do like 2v2s or 3v3s all the time, like the whole Saturday afternoon.
It sounds like a kid that loves football's dream.
But yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing to do, and yeah, it was so much fun. And then a bit later on, he elaborated. He made it even bigger.
Did you ever pretend to be football players that you idolized at that time?
Yeah, I always wanted to be Cruyff, which really annoyed everyone because basically no one really knew him. My teammate always used to be Ronaldo. After a while, it got so competitive, so we always used to just make teams that were countries, and they would be like England or Holland, or and it would just be like a World Cup.
Now you're playing in the Champions League with PSG. For them, that must be, they must be like, I grew up with someone that plays in the Champions League now.
The weird thing is, I always used to say to the boys, like, if you reach the first team from this or this, you have to get me tickets, or like, I want to come to the stadium. And now, sometimes they text me and say like, oh, can I get tickets for this game? Or like it's so crazy because it's completely turned around now, and it's so cool that we finally have the option as women's footballers as well to play on the big stage. And I'm so happy to be in the Champions League again, and have like sometimes the boys text me like, "Oh, what's your game?" And yeah, it's really cool how that's turned around because when I was younger, when I was a kid, that was yeah, it didn't feel that way. It never really felt that that could happen. So I literally would always go to the boys and be like, "Oh, if you play for United or if you play for this team, like you're gonna have to get me tickets."
Do you remember your first goal at senior level?
Yes, I think it must have been for Essen, the first team I played for. I think I must have been 15. If I remember right, it was against Jena, which is a German team as well in the German Bundesliga. But I'm not completely sure actually. I don't really know. I can't really recall the goal, like how it went.
You mentioned that you were 15. What's it like being so young and playing at senior level?
I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of months were really hard. I didn't speak any German. I was also very young, so I just went to training to have fun, like I just wanted to kick a ball around, and I didn't realize there was a lot of things that came with being a professional football player.
Was it better for you to go into that with that mindset of going, I just want to play football and have fun?
Yeah, 100%. I think for sure it's so different for youngsters now coming into a team, where I think back then at least I didn't realize what I was doing. I almost didn't realize that it was going to be my job. I just thought like it's so cool I can be in a foreign country playing football. Where now I think the kids can see what can happen if you continue, if you do well, and that gives extra pressure. So no, to be honest, like I think in the first years of my career, I didn't feel any pressure at all. I think it got a bit more and more as I got older because I also have more expectations of myself as well. It's also more professional, so if I could choose, I would rather be young now than back then.
Well, you definitely are inspiring a lot of young players to go and play football. That being said, you of course are inspiring the generation because you're playing for the Netherlands as well. Talk about that first experience of when you were called up to the Dutch national team.
I remember the first time I got called up, we went away to Turkey and we played Denmark. I remember first camp I was there, made my first minutes. I think after that I played almost every game. So yeah, it went quite well.
What was it like for you, for your family as well, when they, knew you were going to be making your senior debut?
I think my family's quite down to earth, so they normally don't really care what team I play for. They do really care about how I play. So if it's not good, I will get the message if it wasn't good enough. The national team is that one bit of extra when you get to play in a World Cup or Euros. It's like an atmosphere like you can't compare to anything else.
What's your first memory of the Women's Champions League?
It was my first year at Frankfurt, and I think it was even in Belgium. My first game was, I think, against Standard Liège. Yeah, that was really cool. I remember having my first Champions League in a country that feels like home. I've played the Champions League before, but it's been a couple of years now, so it feels kind of like a refresh doing it now with PSG, and yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'm really happy.
Let's move a little bit away from football now. We spoke a lot about all your first times on the pitch. Away from
Yeah.
football, then let's talk about movies. Actually, what's your favourite movie?
This is really weird. I don't know why I'm telling this, but when I feel ill and I feel like I can't do anything that day, I'm just like, I'm always on the couch watching Dirty Dancing. Yeah, so anything a bit more, yeah, from the 80s, 90s, I really enjoy. Yeah.
Because this segment is called the first minute. I don't know if you will remember, but do you remember your first movie that you watched at the cinema?
The first movie we went to was a Harry Potter movie.
Do you remember the first CD that you ever had?
The Bat Out of Hell CD from Meatloaf. Yeah, I remember very well. I do think that my whole taste in music's kind of been forced upon me by my parents, so I didn't really have a choice.
You play the guitar as well, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do. I play it a little bit, to be fair. I've started off lessons for about a year and a half now. So I can do the basic songs, but I'm not great yet. But I'm trying to get a teacher here now as well, and then continue my lessons.
Is there a particular fashion trend or your favorite piece of item of clothing that you had when you were a kid that you like could never let go of?
When I went to high school, I think I was quite like a sportsy type, so I always had like Adidas shirts or Nike shirts on. It wasn't a lot of fashion going on when I was a child.
We are going to dive in to judo because we when
Right.
you were younger, of course, you had a lot of action with judo and you were brilliant at it as well. So, first of all, when did you first start getting into judo? We see you as a little girl there, Jackie. So, what made you get into it?
I always wanted to do everything my sister did. And my sister started playing judo. Oh, look at the face. I was so upset here. I lost the game. You can literally tell. I remember we were walking to class when we were kids, and she saw people doing judo in like a hall that we were walking by, and she was like, "Oh, I want to do that." And as soon as my sister started doing it, I was like, "I'm gonna do this." I had like four or five sessions a week with football, and then 4 or 5 sessions a week with judo. So I would do judo in the morning before school, or straight after school, and then football after that.
What was the highest level that you performed at in judo?
The Euros. So the youth Euros was the highest. I came in third, but I won the nationals, I think, maybe 8 or 9 times. So it was going well. Yeah.
How did you balance that passion by thinking, okay, I really like judo, but I also really like football, and you were still a kid and you still, had to go to school. How did you do that?
I remember a lot of people would always blame my parents. They were like, "Oh, you're pushing this kid too much." It was honestly always the other way around because I really wanted to go, and if my parents were a bit like, "Oh, I can't drive tonight," I'd be like, "Yeah, but I have an important session. I have to go." I really enjoyed it, and it was kind of like people always said to me like, "It feels like you don't have a social life," or but it was my social life, Like I had my friends there, had my friends at football, had my friends at judo. So it felt like hanging out with doing something that I really enjoyed.
Does the fact that you did judo for such a long time, does that help the physical side of your game in terms of football?
For me, football and judo is the perfect combination because I use judo in my game a lot. I'm obviously not the most muscular person, but I can always work myself into a duel because I know how to balance myself. I know when to put someone off balance. I learned so much about timing in judo, about using the weight of someone else to get ahead. I do think if you want to become a good athlete, I think it's important to combine sports when you're younger. Just because it's important for me to develop more areas of your body, to then become a bit more of a whole athlete, if that makes sense.
We'll move on to the next section now, which is called Tika Taka, which is basically this or that questions. Do you prefer pepperoni pizza or pineapple pizza?
Pepperoni, easy.
Sneakers or boots?
Boots.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram if I have to choose.
Spend money or save money?
Yeah, 100% spend.
Would you rather score in the 90th minute to win the UEFA Women's Champions League, or would you rather captain your country?
Score in the 90th, I think. Yeah.
Do you prefer rap or rock?
Rock, 100%. Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee. It's a problem.
Change ends, so it's quiz time. So I'm going to put your football knowledge to the test. First question: how many
Nice.
times have PSG won the UEFA Women's Champions League?
I don't think they've won it. I remember they became second against Frankfurt just before I went to Frankfurt. So I don't think they've won it.
Which club has won the most Women's Champions League titles?
Leon.
Yeah. How many goals did the Netherlands score at the Euros?
Not enough, for sure. Is it 9?
So close. 8.
Oh, damn.
What are the last 2 words of the Women's Champions League anthem?
With pride?
Yes, it is. Right, last one. Which
Alright.
nation's team, so which countries' teams,
Yeah.
have been the most successful in the UEFA Women's Champions League?
Germany.
Yes.
That wasn't too bad.
We're going to look at some of your social media for the next segment, which is called Off the Line.
No.
So
When I was a child, I used to go to these summer camps in Frankfurt as well. So when I signed for Frankfurt, it was amazing. Like it was one of my dreams come true. I went there for I think 5 or 6 years in a row. Didn't speak a word of German, was very tiny, but I tried.
Right, next picture should be Johan Cruyff.
I think it was for his birthday, a reminder of his birthday. This is one of my favorite pictures of Johan Cruyff. He's cool, right?
Right, next picture.
Yeah. When I went to Chelsea, that's the first time I moved away from home. So it was my first big adventure.
This is you signing for Manchester United.
This was my biggest dream in life, was to play for Man United. I said it as a kid, I wanna play for Man United, and the boys in my team always wanted to play for Man United. So when I got to do it, it was so special. And my dad was here on this day as well, and he was so proud. It was one of the biggest things I've ever done in my career, was play for United.
Was this the Holland shirt kit launch?
Yeah, this was the kit launch with Virgil, and I did it with Nike. It was such a cool shoot. It was all about inclusivity. So we had a lot of kids there who were all so excited to see Virgil, obviously. They were all really, really excited. And yeah, it was a good shoot. It was really cool to do.
This is you holding your PSG shirt.
It's been a dream of mine for years now to play Champions League again, and PSG is such a big club. Yeah, I'm very happy that they took me. This is my first club in Holland. I went to everything in full kit just in case someone got injured. That's actually how I played my first game for the national team, for the youth national team. Because I wasn't invited yet. I was really young, but my sister was, and I always used to bring a full-on bag, and I came in full kit. And someone got injured, and I just like they were like, okay, like after like I think it was like 10 or 12 games I showed up in full kit. They just were like, okay, you can go, you can play. Yeah, PSG debut in the Champions League. Yeah, really, really cool. It was a good game as well, and fans came out, and it was first time I played in front of the ultras of Paris, and it was insane. It was so cool. I was so nervous. It was the first time in ages I've been nervous for a football match. So yeah, it was a great experience. I was really happy.
And then this
Oh.
is you with Luca Martins. There's obviously quite a nice friendship there. Just talk us through your friendship with Luca Martins and you know how close you guys are as a football pairing.
We know what to say to each other to get the best out of each other. So yeah, she's a bit like my big sister in football, I'd say.
We're on to our very final piece now, which is called VAR check. This is an opportunity for you to talk to us about something that you feel passionately about.
If I have the time, I would want to talk about Johan Cruyff Foundation because it's just
Really?
really,
Yeah.
really cool. The basic idea is we create space for kids to play football or do anything they want, and be in a safe environment. So yeah.
Why is that something that you are passionate about?
I've always seen sports as a way to be able to get into society. And for me, sports has been a way to have a social life. And I think a lot of people forget that aspects about sports. Friends, you can develop yourself. You can you can get into to be a better person. And the Cruyff Foundation is something that makes that possible for people or areas where that's less available. Like for me, it was always so easy because I could just do it. It was just a decision that I made. But that's not always the case, and I think that's just something that's like you sometimes forget how easy things are if it's just in your reach. We create pitches for people with handicaps. We create pitches in poor areas where parents maybe don't have the money to put them into a football club or another sports environment.
No, listen, Jackie, thank you so much. All the best for the rest of the season. We are so looking forward to seeing how PSG do domestically, of course, in the Champions League as well. It's been awesome watching it so far. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll catch up with you
Thank
very
you.
soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.